Welcome to Pass the Mic. I'm your host, Ramsey Sorrells. We got a very special guest with us today. I'm sitting here with a longtime friend, back to kindergarten. I remember this man broke my toy in first grade on the bike, or on the bus, not on the bike, and I was salty. But we've stayed friends for this long. This man is an artist. This man is an entrepreneur. This man has a lot of special talents, and I present to you guys Ti Akiel. How's it going, my man?
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for sitting down, making the time. I know you're a busy guy out here. Got a new album on the way, EP.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about.
Big things happening. So before we get into the EP and all that stuff, what's been going on with you, man? What you been up to lately? How are you coping with everything with the George Floyd coronavirus? What has this time brought to you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way. Appreciate you. No, man, it's been a weird time, especially for us. You know, we're in Minnesota, Minneapolis, to be specific. And obviously the George Floyd murder really changed things across the country and world as far as just visibility goes. So it's been crazy, I think, for me and for all of us. But I don't know. Through all of that, you know, you just try to find ways to stay positive and stay grounded in like one way or another, I guess. But it's been rough, or I guess a roller coaster of emotions is the best way to describe it. Some days you good, you positive, you feel like there's a lot of love out there. The next day it's like, man, you know, some more bad news. Another person goes missing. Somebody gets murdered. So it's definitely a roller coaster, but we gonna make it through it for sure.
Now, Ty, you played a very intricate role in the Northside community with all this stuff going down. You organized, supply drives. You took Venmos. You were dropping off supplies for, our fellow protesters. But then also you put on a really great event at McKinley. Tell the people a little bit about that, what that was like, how you organized that, and just your overall thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. That was crazy. When everything kind of started going down, it really motivated me to try to get active and get out in the street and just try to, be with my people, essentially. I moved out to the suburbs when I moved back from college, and I don't really live in Minneapolis anymore, but, my mom still lives over north. I still am over north all the time, at least, 3 times a week. So, I still consider that to be my community, my neighborhood. So I'm over there all the time, and that just led me to want to do something for the community because I knew it was hurting at one point, and they weren't really talking about it on the news. We weren't getting any attention on the north side, and it was just as much chaos and destruction going on up there as it was over south. So, I just kind of posted a story on Instagram. Honestly, it was the start of it. A couple people got involved. Shout out to Takina, Gino, and from there it just took off. It was really dope, though. It was a humbling experience just to be able to, impact that many people and just do something positive where everybody could get together. That was really what I took away from everything, just, letting yourself be a pawn in the bigger scheme of things, So it was definitely a good moment.
Totally. Yeah, from my perspective, same as you, I really felt like during this time we were all needed to play our own role. And I know with the George Floyd thing and everything that was happening in our community, it personally struck a nerve within me to want to help you out and participate in it. But, I couldn't be more proud of the impact that you made through your leadership and just the leadership that you exemplified throughout, that weekend and last Sunday as well. So kudos to you, man. I'm excited to see what else you can do with that. I know you got some big plans alongside that, but that's conversation for another day, another interview. Let's get to the real stuff we want to talk about here. Samson and Delilah, your new EP. Samson's Delilah. My apologies. But I know for me, I'm excited for the drop now, having listened to it twice, And I know I listened to it last night, and I told you I literally don't have a single critique, man. This is quite the EP. I can't wait to see how, the fans react and just the reception of it all. But I know it's going to be nothing but positive. So let's talk about it a little bit. First thing I want to ask you is just like, how do you feel about Samson's Delilah? Like, where do you see it? How does it correlate to your other albums? Does it correlate to your other albums? Like, what kind of impact do you think it's going to make, and how do you think people will perceive it?
Yeah, that's a good question because that's always really tough, before you actually release a project, like every time I really never know. I'm an artist that just lets the moment kind of cater what I create. It's all like really stuff that I'm going through, especially with this project. So as far as where I would rank it with the rest of the music I put out, right now I feel like it's at the top just because I feel like I'm still getting better as an artist. I'm still learning, growing, and I really put some things together. I feel like I was in a nice groove. I had some like raw motivation, so I feel like I put it all together in a really short, compact, EP. Yeah. So one thing I liked about this project and the process of it is it's really a story that's being told from like start to finish. And I feel like I haven't really captured that essentially in any of my other projects. I think there is a story being told in each project, but this is like a deliberate story, like a direct, like once you start listening, if you're paying attention, you definitely gonna get what I'm talking about and like what I'm going through during the entirety of the project. So
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the story. Can you tell the people a little bit about what Samson's Delilah means to you and how it correlates to your album and your thought process behind making the EP?
Yeah. So actually, when I started making this project, I was gearing up to record a mixtape. I have a full mixtape that was written, and I was starting to do that. So then when it became a project about me going through a breakup, essentially I had to change gears, and I didn't have a title for the most part. For a long time, it wasn't until like I want to say it was pretty much almost all recorded. The title came to me. I've been raised in the church my whole life, so I know a lot of different Bible stories and whatnot, and Samson and Delilah is one of them. And I just happened to be looking at my Bible. My mom got me a new Bible randomly a couple months ago, and I was just looking through it, and I opened right to the story of Samson and Delilah, and I just read it, and it kind of like I took a lot from it, just like reading that story over again. I hadn't read it or heard it in years, decades at this point, so just like having it be that moment, it really like resonated with me, and I was like, that's got to be the title. So yeah.
It is a truly powerful story, and if you don't know about it, I suggest that you take a look at it. I know you explained it to me, and I don't remember all the details, but I love that how you explained it and the impact that it's had on your relationship and you moving through that breakup. So you touched on a little bit about how you were working on a mixtape. You put that on pause because of the breakup, and you shifted gears towards making this EP centered around where you were at this point in your life. Now, listening to the EP, you kind of go through some phases, right? From my perception of listening to it, the first couple songs, you are figuring out kind of how to cope with it, how to move forward. Obviously, you're fresh off the breakup, so it still kind of hurts, right? It still stings. But as the EP progresses, you have this shift in perspective where it's like, all right, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. Like what happened was meant to happen. I learned my lessons. I'm ready to move forward. When you made your songs, was it directly reflective of where you were at in your process of coping with the relationship? Or how did that come about where you went from, phase one, where you're kind of sad, you're trying to figure out where to move, to phase two, where you're like, hey, I'm bigger and better than all of this? How did that come about in the studio, and how did that curate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say for me, it was kind of like each song was written as to where I wanted to be almost. So I get what you're saying about the phases. When you go through the project, it's definitely like me going through this moment, right? So I guess like some of the songs, like I was more so just being like, man, I still think that this could like work out. Like in my head, I'm thinking that in the time. So like I wrote a song in that moment, and you kind of get that feeling from it. But then, there was other times where I was like, you know what, like this ain't good for me. This is, not a situation I need to be in anymore. Although I still was like hung up on it a little bit, I knew that like I wanted to move forward from it. So I like wrote another song that was kind of like me, like basically being my own like mentor or coach and being like, here you go, like this is a song you can listen to help you get through it. And it just kind of happened to the way where the last song on the track Bygones, that one actually was just like what it was in the moment. It's the last track on the album. It was also like the moment where I finally felt like closure from the situation too. Like when I dropped my pen and stopped writing that song, I was just like, oh man. Like it felt like a weight was kind of lifted off. And I knew at that moment, like, okay, like that's the project, like that's it, no more songs, we good. So that was the only one where it was just like right on time, right in the moment. The other ones were kind of me just feeling it out and trying to get to a certain place mentally.
Totally. I love that. So the whole thing, you can kind of look at it as being very therapeutic. Not only the music itself, but the process of making the music also helped you. I think that's really, really powerful. And Bygones, man, I remember listening to that yesterday. And you saying, I don't think I've ever written a harder verse yet. And I couldn't agree more. That check out Bygones when it comes out. But speaking of like mentorship and coaching and therapy, your mom is sprinkled throughout this EP, and she's adding her 2 cents on your relationship. And it seems like your mom is she helps with the shift in perspective, but also she's there to help you cope. What was the importance of you making sure that you implemented your mom into the EP? And where else has your mom made a profound impact on your life, whether it's coping or motivation, or what other parts of the life has she really left a footprint on you?
Yeah, well, like my mom is everything to me, right? I'm not a mama's boy, but like at the same time, like I would do anything for my mom. I'm kind of just like a lone wolf in a sense, but like I love my mom to death. So I've never had really anybody in my corner the way she's been, which I feel like a lot of people can say, especially like I was a single child for 10 years. So we really created and she had me when she was 19 also. So I was like, I don't know, we essentially became like, she was always my mom, but also like best friends at the same time too, because I just went everywhere with her. Like she didn't have money for daycare all the time. So I would be at the U of M going to class with her, stuff like that. So every like really rough stage in my life or anything serious that I've ever had to go through, like except for with few exceptions, my mom has really helped me through. She has a lot of really good wisdom and life experience. So yeah, and you definitely hear that in the project. On a couple of occasions she just gave me so much wisdom throughout this process, like the process of me getting over, somebody that I was really like in it with. So and I had never really gone through that before either, which is why it was so real. Like to me, like I've always just been doing my own thing, not really like had too many serious commitments in my life. So when I had this moment of like, okay, this was something I was really committed to, it was serious, and now it's official that it's over, like that's a tough pill to swallow. I think everybody can relate to that at one point or not in their life where that's happened. So it just was that moment for me. And my mom was just right there, and she just gave me a whole new perspective, because you can get real low and like beat yourself up. And that was something that she like would not allow me to do. And she was like, and this is why. And just like, reminding me, and I'm good for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a strong individual myself. So it didn't take too much, but like without that, I don't know how long I would have been stuck in that place. So like I really appreciated her for that. And you can hear it in the project, like what she said and how it shifted my whole perspective. Like once you listen, as you have listened, you could tell that's exactly what happened, what she did for me. So
absolutely. And so when those conversations with your mom occurred, were you already recording the mixtape, or sorry, the EP? You were? Yeah. Cool. I love how it's just woven through, and like you said, your mom plays a really pivotal role in the whole tape. But I wanted to ask, does your mom listen to your music?
Not really. My mom is, she's very about her faith. Church every Sunday and Wednesday. Like I said, I was raised in the church, and a lot of my music is just not what she's putting in her atmosphere. So I definitely respect it. But she checks in from time to time. She definitely stays aware of everything that's going on, but she doesn't really listen in depth, I don't think, too much.
For sure. That's awesome. Well, shout out to all the moms out there. Lean on them. So Ty, with this EP, what is next for you? What else do you got planned on the docket? Where are you moving after?
Yeah, a lot of things on the horizon, actually. Like we talked about earlier, those donation drives definitely generated a lot of buzz. Just was able to connect and network with a lot of people. So I definitely want to pursue just, getting involved in the community more, however that may happen. We got some things planned, but I'm not going to get too in-depth in that right now. I'd rather show y'all than tell y'all. But as far as music is concerned, like, I'm going to have my foot on their neck, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had another project already ready to go. I just had to record it, so we about to be back on that. Shout out my guy Mini Sounds, by the way. That's my producer. He executive produced this whole project. So he's been sending me heat, so we got some more stuff ready to go. We are taking Triple Kings back and putting it back on the map. Shout out my boy Kasey. Triple Kings definitely making a comeback. So there's a lot planned. There's other things going on too. Right now I'm really busy just trying to promote this project and get that all going. So yeah, there's a lot coming, but we definitely ready for it.
Keep your eyes peeled, people. I also wanted to ask, I think this will wrap it up here, but where else do you find inspiration for your music and or for this EP in particular? Obviously, the breakup was a huge driving force, but was there anything else that contributed to your overall production and the creation of this EP?
Well, my answer is specific and vague. Like, it's just always life, like life right now, or previously just happened to me be going through a breakup, but, there's other things that definitely inspired me. Just whatever I'm going through, like it could be good or bad. You get good inspiration, bad inspiration, and it's just about filtering all of that and making content, basically, however you do it. And that's kind of my mentality. So everything's inspiring. Like the fact that sometimes we wake up at 6 a.m. for a month straight just so we can go get some paper. That's inspiring. Like that's a hustle. Some people are trapping. That's inspiring. That's a hustle. Giving back to your community, that's inspiring. You know what I mean? Growing as a person internally, that's inspiring. So it's just literally walking that walk every day and going through things, experiencing things fully, and just trying to be transparent with yourself. That's where I get my inspiration from, definitely.
That's amazing. Truer words have never been spoken. Lady, you gotta let me wrap this up. That's a wrap on Pass the Mic. You heard the man Ti Akiel. Samson's Delilah is coming to you soon. Be on the lookout for more of the donation drives. Be on the lookout for Triple Kings. Be on the lookout for Ram Realty. Be on the lookout for Kasey Robinson visuals. Okay, we coming to you live. It's 2020. We've been through some shit, but it's nowhere but up from here. You dig? That's all I got. It's a wrap.
Oh man, this dude. Wow.
You didn't want to stop me out?
Nah,
man.